It's Achusi Kanku from Esports Africa News. And as always, we try to engage with personalities who are going to contribute, who are already contributing in one way or the other to the African technology, esports, gaming, animation, virtual experiences, all connected together. And today we have another diasporan who's been contributing to the continent over the years. Sammy, you take it from here and introduce yourself fully. Don't hold back anything and let's know what you do.
Thank you, Gabriel. So, hello, guys. My name is Samuel Adrani. I am the CTIO for Afro Solutions and currently also the Innovation Architect at Mekorma INC here in the United States. I have, just like Atu said, Gabriel said, I have, helped community, build community, run community. I am a technology, I won't say enthusiast, I'm a technology freak. I live, I sleep, I breathe tech. So I'm very passionate about everything technology, specifically that promote development back home on the continent. And today I'm here to, share my unbiased, not holding back and brutal talk on esports, AI, and how we can use that to grow our continent.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. I know you're very busy. I know you've got a few things you're doing. Build the Microsoft projects. I think when we first engaged was through the Minecraft and Microsoft project in Ghana, and that was really exciting. So how's that going for you? I mean, what's the experience then? I know you've transitioned to other areas, but how's that for you?
It's been a good experience. Interestingly, before we went live, we were talking about some of the challenges, back home, and it's been a very, very long journey. Galvanizing people to understand even that that whole Minecraft concept and how we can even use that as a stepping stone for education. The different and mixed feelings of some of the things. Unfortunately, some people might have been using Minecraft in different ways, so there was a bit of a dent there. But I'll say that generally there was open acceptance to it. There are a lot of people that have now chanced on it, are using it, and we're just hoping that we formalize that into our educational, system, and use that also as a means or one of the tools, for building what we call design thinkers and innovators that get that skill right from the beginning. So it's been good.
Yes, I'm going to digress a bit, not mainly what we discussed, we're going to talk about, but one of the things that I have noticed from research and engagement a lot of people is legitimate access for Africans to these technologies. I mean, you have been involved in Microsoft big time, over the years, and from the inside out, how come it's so difficult for Africans to have legitimate access? It's not like they're not going to pay for it, they can pay for it. All they need is to have legitimate access to it. What is so difficult? Payment, there are so many payment routes. What is so difficult?
So there are a few things. In the initial stages, it was payment gateways. I quite remember very well in the very early days of Microsoft Cloud, where you couldn't even use your Ghana issued credit. Ghana is debit, we don't do credit, so you couldn't use your Ghana issued debit cards because of gateway restrictions and all that. That barrier has been removed. I believe also the second part is also sensitization. From my experience leading and doing a lot of things on Microsoft on the continent or in our side of the world on the landscape, there wasn't a lot of I would say visibility for Microsoft products in that sense. So for example, even startups, when you talk to a startup, the first part they're talking about is Google or AWS, right? So there was the issue of visibility, and unfortunately there's a long-standing history of not using legitimate softwares. So people are looking for, Charlie, do you have a cracked version of Windows? You have a crack. So that has been part of the fabric for a very long time, to the point that when it got to the point to say, hey, you need to use legitimate software, that became a problem. And obviously there was also the economic gap. You have a lot of people in the lower tier who cannot afford to gain access to some of these toolings. The access had always been there. It was just the infrastructure was always there. It was access to it. The other part also was our educational system. I'm sure most of us in uni, most of our universities were probably not even using legitimate, Microsoft product. So even for our institutions to align with some of these the big tech giants like Microsoft, Google, so that they gain some of these packages or resources, that was non-existent. I mean, you and I can remember as far back as when we're going to school, this was not there. Yeah. It wasn't there. So now there's a lot more push for visibility across all the big tech companies. Like today, you have Google having its office in Ghana. Even for the longest time, we know there's Google, but now they have like a main
physical office
lab. Exactly. For the longest time, Microsoft already had like a sales office in Ghana and Movenpick. Everything was run from Nigeria until the ADC came. So now there has been a lot of visibility, and there is still the need to push, especially for our institutions, to make sure that they are partnering with these big tech companies to bring access to these things to the school, so it makes the access easy. For example, for those of us in the diaspora, across Adobe, Microsoft, there are packages that when you are a student, sometimes you can literally get to use the software for free for the duration that you are in school.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I remember the first time I told this to some students, they're like, "You don't mean?" I'm like, "No, yes, it's working." Like when you are in school and you have a school and you can prove that you are in school, all you need is to go to this tech companies, download their products, provide the information, and you can use it. Some of them will give you till you are out of school. Some of them will give you like on a 12-month basis, and you keep renewing so far as you are still in school. But guess what? Our people back in school in Ghana don't have the facility. And that was one of my biggest wake-up calls when I was like, no, Asia has got students. So we wanted students to try it. And then they go and like, oh, we can't see University of Ghana. We can't see KNUST. It's not, I was like, so now those are becoming available, but we still need the people that matter, the institutions to adopt it, right? Right across from Microsoft, Google, all of them have got educational packages. How are our schools partnering with them? So that by virtue of me going to school, I can have access to Azure, I can have access to Minecraft, I can have access to Creative Cloud, I can have access to all this. Even for example, I think Autodesk, Unity.
Yeah,
all of them have got educational programs. Yeah, right. And I know we're going to talk about esports. Apart from a few local companies in our region like Letty Arts and the rest that are building games. How are we even making that attractive and easy access? For example, people want to build games. They don't have Alienware or MSI. Gaming is a huge, you need huge and beefy machines. Yeah. But imagine if our schools like NAFTIs, like the KNUSs, the people that are focused on the arts are partnering with NVIDIA, Unity, Unreal Engine. And these people are sponsoring and putting labs with all the beefy, softwares. Everything is on it, just like it's done here. So once you are learning and going through that program, you don't need to worry about, I need to go and buy a laptop. You can do that whilst in school, and by the time you leave school, you would have earned some gigs to be able to buy yourself. So it's, and I know we're going to dig into this conversation.
It's a cycle.
We're going to go on and on and on.
It is frustrating to see how the hands are tied back, and then expecting us to jump hurdles that other people use horses to jump. It's difficult. But again, Africa does what Africa does. Africa has leapfrog from your traditional landlines, limited landlines, to mobile phones, and now Africa is leapfrogging from mobile phones to AI. I see applications of AI in Africa booming, but the question is, are we applying it properly? Are we owning it rather than just being again end users only, where a lot of this setup infrastructure is out on the US, continent, American or Europe or Asia? When does Africa become real producers, real owners of this? What are we missing?
That's a very interesting question. And for someone who is, it's not like my day-to-day stuff, especially running innovations in Mekorma and AfriLogic in terms of AI positioning and placement, governance and usage. It's a conversation in the AI space that we have all the time. We are mostly noted to be consumers of technology, and then after a while, just a small percentage of people start to be developers or actually contributors to that technology. And we're seeing that for the longest of time. Again, if we want to backtrack the history of AI, it's not new, right? All the days of machine learning and all that. It's just now it's become more mainstream. It's become more accessible to the individual. Like you're saying, recently Google launched, Gemma, which can run, on your mobile phone because it's a very low footprint, it's quantized and all that. Now, the good question you asked, are we just consumers of it? For the large part, yes, we are consumers of it. And I will say that even aside of that, there are a few people that are leveraging or doing things to start to build some of these models and contribute to it, right? I can shout out Dr. David Boysing, some fantastic man who is like, building crazy models and doing things. I mean, it's crazy. It's amazing, if you follow and see what he's doing with it. The likes of Darlington Akogo is doing stuff in health with AI. There's Nanagate, Abuna AI. There is Paul Azuri with Kaya AI. So there are a few people, and that's just in Ghana. I know there are people in Nigeria. I'm not too privy with them, but I'm speaking from the context of of Ghana. So there are a few people that are using it to solve real problems, right? Not necessarily just hey, I want to build a website, help me build. Not that kind of AI usage. There are a few people that are using it instrumentally to build solutions and to solve problems.
Yeah.
But aside of that, the AI wars has become something between North America and China, where you have an interesting. We're talking about it. The U.S. government has asked Anthropic to shut down Fable 5. Mythos and Fable, because they believe there's some kind of a hijack or backdoor that can be a huge security risk. But even that aside, we see that the big players are North America, or America and China, who are rapidly investing in developing models that now it's become a race. China says I have DeepSeek, I have Kimi. They're saying I have Claude, I have GPT, I have. So there is that understanding that owning or building strong AI models and infrastructure is not just a commercial venture, but also a national asset that can be used to move. And that is where Africa is lacking. If there are others I'm not privy to know, but as of now, at this point, we don't have that kind of conversation to say, how can we also join that battle? Even if we are even very low on the leaderboard, to say that we are building it, but we are focusing on Africa. We are focusing on and you see, it's unfortunate that a lot of these data sets that are being used to train these AI models is happening in Kenya. It's happening in Uganda. It's happening in all these places where our young ones are doing data labeling, feature labeling, data entry, and they're using all these data points to build and influence this AI. So to your question, that is where the opportunity is.
Yeah.
But you see, it is not a one country effort.
No.
To say that we want to build a unified, AI model, not just become consumers, but become processors and part of the contributors to that data set that build it. It has to be a unified front. That is what is currently missing. And I've been privy to a lot, and I think that is also one of the challenges. I've been privy to a lot of conversations where we have different groups trying to work in silos. To say that we are trying to do something AI hub. We're trying to do something AI hub. We're trying to do something AI hub. As far back as probably over 20, 30 years ago, Mauritius had an AI and emerging technologies policy, right? And Ghana just did ours, I think, a month or two ago. We launched our AI digitals, and from all the brouhaha from the NITA builders, there was a conversation to understand that there's an emerging technology, and then there's also an AI. But AI is an emerging technology, and new technologies are going to come. Yeah. So you see, and that's why I'm hoping and waiting for that policy or bill to be formalized, because it will make us a lot of good if we stop working in silos and contribute all that effort to build a unified front. But you see, everybody wants to be a subject matter expert. I want to own my own space. I want to be the one responsible. I want to, have my own, and that is why we are where we are. So there are efforts split in different silos. Sometimes even you're not even aware of this silo, and you guys might be doing the same thing. That is just duplicate effort and redundancy. We are reinventing the wheel, right?
Talk about it.
For me, it's time we stop working on, in silos, have a general dialogue, and especially the government needs to lead it, because whether you like it or yes, AI infrastructure is not an individual, thing. And just like we're talking about, Anthropic and they are saying Fable 5 should be, it is a government intervention, right? So today, for sovereignty purposes, do we even have the data centers and infrastructure to host the quantum of data that AI requires?
No.
Right? Recently, Microsoft launched its new quantum chip, right?
Yeah.
The question is that what partnerships are governments building to say that we are building data centers that are AI first or AI ready? Because AI needs the huge amount of, of compute.
Opportunity to do
and this is the time that we need, because the thing is, if you don't have that infrastructure, you cannot have you can't build sovereign data infrastructure. You can't. Are you going to put it on third-party cloud when you want to say you want to be part of the conversation? Then why is Anthropic not putting it in data centers in China? You get the drift. So it needs a lot of serious stakeholder and infrastructure planning. And I believe that one country can take the lead and be affronted, but it's not going to be just a one country affair. This is the time we want to see, ECOWAS, AU, all of them coming together. Look, whether we like it or this is a new frontier. How do we get out? And you see, how do we get our great minds to start pioneering this? And I'll tell you the secret. Go to Anthropic, go to OpenAI, go to Microsoft, go to Google, go to AWS. You will find African brains that are leading this AI interventions in all these top AI companies. And it's back to the diaspora. How can we attract them? Even if we are not letting them go, they are not relocating. How can we use their brains to build the next generation of AI engineers, prompt engineers, data scientists, data analysts that can form the foundation of building an African AI, so that we can also join? When we say we released Fable 5, we can say we released Edinkra 1. You get the point? Of we released Ubuntu 5, or something. So it is, for me, it's we are consuming it right now. We are huge consumers. There are a few companies that are applying it very well. I mentioned a few of them, but in joining that race, we are way behind.
Well, that leads me straight into the question about servers. Obviously, esports requires servers. The same issue is impacting on the way esports is played, right? So, from July to December, we've got the Esports World Cup, right? Africans are limited because of the service. We are playing more mobile, which is now helping, but most of the games for these international tournaments, Esports Nations Cup, Esports World Cup, Phygital, Evo,
yeah.
Rocket League in Morocco, all these tournaments between July and December, we've got all these tournaments happening. They're international tournaments, but all these don't have service on the continent. We've got, I think, Call of Duty Mobile has got server in Nigeria and South Africa. PUBG Mobile, I can't confirm top of my head if they do, but all these guys don't have service or limited service on the continent. It's impacting on gameplay, it's impacting on potential, it's impacting on everything Africa could be. You talk about diasporans who are involved in all these areas. Are we not talking enough? Are we not putting our case forward enough? Are we not showing interest? Again, then that comes back to us as media, Esports Africa News. Are we not showing enough of what Africa has got to enable investors, to enable people understand opportunity? Unless there's a missing link between, technology experts like you, that we don't know, and probably that's why we're talking, so you can expose us to some of these opportunities.
That's a good question, and I think to a large extent we are all part of solving this problem, and this is why we still have, in as much as esports has grown, from going to game center, you'll be beating and all that. I think it's almost synonymous to when we were young and playing soccer, right? some of us have lost soccer interest because of the beatings we got, right? We're like, focus on school, you know. So, but after a while, when parents and guardians and people realize that it's a field that is generating a lot of income, and that if my son is playing professional soccer, he's made, and if soccer is not as a lazy man's, you know, activity as, you know, perceived it.
Right.
So on the front of media, I think you guys are doing okay, but there is more. And where there is the more I'm talking about is linking esports to all the other areas where we see potential. And we're talking earlier, initially about that before we went live, about the 1 million coders program, right? I haven't seen game development as part of it, but it is a key factor, right? I think Ghana now has an esports team, right? But
we've got a series of them.
Okay, now what is the infrastructure? Just like if you have a national team, you need stadia, we need places for them to train. Do we have a national esports center?
No.
Which like you're saying, which can put in that place the Call of Duty servers, the FIFA servers, the EA servers, right? Do we have that? I don't know, right? And again, I don't know the leaders of the esports community in Ghana. You know, I can't tell, and because I'm not privy to them, I see what's his name? I'm trying to remember his name because I've met him at some of our events. Yes. Hayford. Yes. I see Kwesi Hayford, you know, pushing, you know, and sharing the narrative of the importance of esports, not just, you know, the commercial value of it, but, you know, the creative and other value, you know, value chain associated with it, right? But the question is that, is it enough? Are we giving them a lot of traction? And I'll be biased a bit here. There is an esports tournament coming on. How much airtime do we get? You know, that there's an esports event coming. Are we deliberate? For example, you know, those of you in the UK, I think one of my hooks on technology was the Click News.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, BBC.
Are we being deliberate? Today we have journalists that are interested in politics, health, other things. Do we have journalists that are interested in esports? That on major news outlets that they are talking about, hey, there's an esports competition. It's almost like the way we go to schools and we do intercore, zonals and all that. Have we thought about that? To say that we're also doing that to start even recruiting players across, right? So yes, infrastructure-wise, we need to do that. But right now, what I have come to learn and understand is that the likes of Nvidia, the likes of AMD, the likes of ARM, the likes of Unity, the likes of Unreal, the likes of all these game developers, they are open to serious partnerships with serious countries. I don't think it's going to be a hard press, because believe you me, in as much as I don't have the full picture and statistics, I know a lot of Africans that play Call of Duty, that play, and recently I think there's a new one that, look, I for a long time, I have an Xbox, I always upgrade, I have all the games on it, I hardly play it, but my friends play them, and I can tell the number of people that are playing on mobile, those who don't even have consoles. It makes a good point to say, dude, guys, we need you to put a server in our region because we are also active. But again, if you don't project it, they won't see you as a sport. It's not commercial, whether we like it or not. If our media, our expert, our whatever is not projecting it as something that we are interested in, they won't come and put servers there, right? Because obviously, if you have just 10 people in, I'm just getting very hypothetical. If you have just about 100 people playing all these esports in Ghana, I mean, Call of Duty or EA Sports or the rest will not come and put a server there because it's not commercially viable for them, right? But if they have the numbers, but they'll say that we put it in Nigeria, there's low latency to Ghana, so work on them. But again, we need to attract it. And how do we attract it? The numbers, being deliberate, exactly. Being deliberate. So today, if you see the really resourced esports centers, they're all private. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a PPA, right? But if the government can also come in and say, you know what, you guys are doing an intervention, we see you, we're going to work with you to do it, that's fine. But else, it's now more of a private intervention where, if, for example, if I say, you know what, I have my connection, that's where the diasporans coming. We have a lot of diasporans in all these places, right? How can we also make a case and say, you know what, for those of us that are interested in esports and AI and the tech, how can we all come together, right? Put some very accountable and traceable fund in place to say, you know what, we want to put up an ultra modding AI or esports. I'm just generalizing because we have different interests. But are we saying that can we come together and put together an ultra modding state of the art comparable esports center, where it is almost like a football academy, just like there is.
Tell me about it.
There is just like you have these popular football academies, the Ajax and the rest that started, in our days, right? Where it's a center that has all the partnerships with all the esports agencies across the world.
Apply right to dream. Apply right to dream to esports.
Exactly. I was looking for that's a new name of right to dream, right? Where look, we have talent in our ghettos. We have talent in our villages. We have talent hidden in places, even in schools. And this is a very common conversation that I have with a family and people when they are like, oh, the concept or the myth that visual arts is for lazy people. Man.
That's what we're using for gaming now. Those are the guys that are creating the effects that we want.
Exactly. But let me ask a question: how many schools in Ghana running visual arts even have labs that have Corel Draw, labs that run Unity, labs that run creative suite, labs that run all the digging? Because today we don't do arts on paper.
Now Canva does everything for you.
We don't do stuff on canvases again. We don't do stuff on physical. Yes, you need to learn the foundation, but after they've learned the foundation, how are we equipping them with the tools that are being used on the job? You get it? So it is a huge. So for example, unless what we're saying, look, we as diasporans, you know what? Let's bridge this gap in some ways. And for me, this is where I see the opportunities. And I've had a lot of misunderstandings and clashes with a lot of my alumni groups, right? Where some of them think they want to favor buildings over skill set, right? There was a common misconstruction. They wanted to build an assembly hall. And I know they're going to come after me for this, but I'm going to say it like I'm going to go hard about it. And I was of the notion that I went to the same school. I had certain skills that has shaped me to become what I am today. So as a secondary technical institutions, can we start replacing the old late machines with CNC machines? Can we start equipping the visual art student with digitizing boards, tablets? Can we start equipping them with Corel Draw, with Photoshop, with Creative Cloud? Can we start to equip the engineering student and the building BC people with AutoCAD? Can we start to because at the end of the day, what you're doing is that when that person leaves that school, they are ready with industry tooling and it can be valuable. And I came to see the same thing when I first came into the state. I went to Portland State University to do a few things there, and in the state, that is where Intel has its Fab Lab, and Intel has adopted the engineering and technology school department. So when you go to their lab, you are seeing all the fabrication and all the machines and tooling that is used in Intel. So tell me what, if I go to that school, take that course, learn from that lab, I am market ready. It is the same thing. You're
going to use Intel for most of your things until...
It's the same thing, right? So I don't know if it is a generation of teachers or pioneers we have in our institutions, but now there are a lot of young professors coming up who have been privileged to be trained in this side of the world that we're hoping that if bureaucracy is not a problem, we should make it flexible enough for them to... You see, partnership thrive on flexibility and less bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Because you can have companies like the Unreals, the Unities, the Nvidias wanting to come in, but if there's a lot of bureaucracy and greed, some sector person wanting kickbacks and all that, we're going to miss out on these opportunities. So that's how I see it. So we as diasporans, if we are all true to the cause, we can use our connections, our networks to establish something that speaks for us. But again, I see the challenge as a lot of siloed conversations, and that's not going to help us.
I think you've just taken a lot of the wind from a sail, but that is absolutely what I've been thinking and wondering what's going to happen. And my example is to do with Ghana at 70 next year. 6 months to the beginning of the year, no one I can see is doing anything. They might be working in silos or they might be working underground to sort of say anything at the end of the day. But again, working in silos will not take us far. If we want to go further, we need to work in together. And I'm hoping that people listening to this will be reaching out to try and work with us. Talk about the media. I think we need to start making our reports more regular, whether they're monthly, quarterly, or half-year reports. They need to be regular to show the statistics, show the data to people to make sure it's more visible. And talk about diaspora and Africans. I mean, you've mentioned a few names. I've got them down. I'm going to have to reach out to you behind the scenes to try and get more engagement with these diasporans, because I think there's a lot we can do. There's so much that we can do that, So I saw somewhere there was a quote that happiness is when the present generation knows that they're not going to enjoy the shade of the tree that they've planted today. So you and I should be proud to be able to plant trees or plant systems in place that we know we're not going to benefit from, but we are happy to do it because we know we're going to make the next generation more successful in that regard. You were talking about your school and other projects that you were getting involved there. How is that coming about in Ghana? Do you think, because I know you're from Ghana and we're talking about Ghana, do you think most other schools are interested in the physical? I'm not saying the physical structures are bad, but that idea of knowledge transfer, how are they taking it? Because my school did a bit of a mix, because we did a refurb of a computer lab and provided new computers. Other people have just put structures in. How's that going? Because I've seen that this generation, it's been a very big competition between the major schools.
It's been tough, right? And I'll be opening up to you. Last year was my 4th year, and I was very hopeful I was going to put an ultramodern AI.
Which one is that though? Which school is that, so I can tease you?
So I'm a SecTech boy. I'm a converted SecTech boy.
Oh, I see those boys. Well, let me put a joke on you. That was a very serious school for sports, because whenever we did a core, I played hockey, field hockey. So whenever we did, hockey, very difficult school.
Yeah, hockey was one of that. I really wanted to put up, an ultramodern AI and STEM lab for the school, because for the longest part of my life, a lot of my my computer exploits happened in the school, and my year mates will tell you. I went as far as securing the space for it, but it's not off the table. I'm still working with it. I'm now getting partners to come in to help and support with that. But it's been very difficult, just like you're saying, to get people to buy into the idea, right? Because you're looking at probably $200,000-$300,000 plus project, right? It's difficult to get people to buy in. And just because people have different ulterior motives to say that I want to have, so far as it's not me leading that intervention, I don't want to be part of it. But to that, it's taking a slow approach, but eventually we're going to get there. And this is what I think. I believe that we are all accepting and acknowledging that the world is transitioning from what we saw school when we were back in school, right? And therefore, the kind or the next generation of leaders or experts we want to groom starts more from the junior high and even the primary institutions. So it is up to us to collaborate to see how we. So one other thing I was looking at, okay, if you want to build it right in a school, and that is becoming to say that it's becoming a challenge, could you collaborate with regional partners to say that, okay, we all went to the Eastern Region school, can we come together and say that let's put an AI as and when I say STEM, I'm putting everything together. So AI and ultramodern STEM, which will have and everything centered in the region, which is funded or supported by all alumni from the Eastern Region. So that it doesn't become, it is my school, just like the competition. It is my school, it is my school, it is my school. But opening it up in such a way that it serves not just, almost like the way in the past certain schools were science resource centers with the science resource buses, right? So it is at a certain location, open to the students in those places, and then almost like a PPP, we can run it in conjunction with the schools to train. So when the regionals or intercore is happening, that is where we all camp and train people. So that's kind of like the approach I'm looking at it. And again, it takes. That's why it's called a vision. You know, it takes aside the bureaucracy you have in trying to establish it. It's also a vision.
Yeah.
And believe you me, there are people living our generation who still do not believe or understand the importance and essence of esports. And I would have said game now, but you're just playing game. You are just what is, you know, what's the essence? Until they start to see pro esports people that are making millions of dollars that are just being treated like normal sports people, right? When we start to show the statistical, the medical, the all the proofs that links the importance of esports to brain development, to child development, to innovation, to all this. Right? Until that's what I'm saying. That's why I mentioned the concept like click.
Yeah.
Do we have a major or national television having such programs to say this is technology, this is, and you see, and focusing on the importance and how, look, some people's life have changed through sports. Right? How much more esports, which in as much as it also requires a lot of logistics and infrastructure, like you rightly said, today you can play COD or you know, on phone, on mobile, right? What are some of the intervention we need to do? Are we talking to the telcos to get good packages so that, you know, gaming, like there are ways to go about it. If that is becoming, you know, expensive, we talk about, you know, putting a service or head-ends, right? Can we have this? Can we have even for the simplest of forms? Can we have the various authorities in charge of esports by virtue of having a national team say that, look, Call of Duty, FIFA, EA, what, all of you, can you come and put a head end in Ghana? Right? That also reduces the latency and data usage a bit. Right? So the prices, so it's huge. We have to start from somewhere, and we need the passionate local diasporan government and people who really want to see this move. We need to bring all of us together. The more we start to talk about it, the more we start to throw light. See, it's almost like when AI started. Like I mentioned, AI just didn't start this just a year or two or three.
No.
It's been there for like decades.
2015,
right? It's been there for decades. Some of us were building machine learning models. Some of us were building machine learning models before even AI became a thing. It's just that we're building the models and using them internally. There wasn't a lot of these research, and you know, now it's just that, look, today, I don't need to convince anybody that you can use ChatGPT to do a lot of things. People are doing home renovation projects, building solutions, and all this. And now, I was privileged to try Fable 5. It's mad. Right?
Wow.
I don't need, and today, you see, today you don't need to convince anybody that you can use AI tools to do stuff, because it sold itself as the value. How are we selling esports as a value to the ecosystem for them to say, we need to support this? Yeah, so I think that's where the work is. That's what that is where the work that we have to do.
Now, Sammy, we could stay here forever talking about this. Yeah, I appreciate your time. It's been absolutely brilliant, and I'm definitely gonna talk to you behind the scenes, get a contact, get a network, because I'm gonna get the connection going. Because I definitely think Ghana at 17 next year, we need to do something extraordinary. We can't let this period pass without us sort of taking advantage of it, because the eyeballs will be on Ghana, and we must well just do it.
It would have been nice, the Ghana 70, to highlight all the top sports or, you know, games that have made it to all the big, you know, the big markets like EA and, you know, the Xbox, the PS, you know, and share it.
We've got time to do it. We definitely have got time to do it, and we're gonna try and do that. We've got time to do it. But I appreciate your time, and we'll be in touch and definitely continue to have this conversation.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Let's make the continent proud.